Well, welcome everybody to our first episode and to our audience that are here joining us today. Thank you. Thank you for responding on the invite and thank you for taking the time to be here with us. This is our first episode of Paths to Pleasant Places. And what we're hoping to do with this monthly series is dive into a journey of different topics. And this month, February, is our love topic. And so we wanted to talk about cultivating and nurturing self-love. So we just want to invite you to imagine embarking on a deep dive within yourself, identifying what needs to perhaps be let go of or perhaps embraced. And what we do want to remind you that it's a continuous journey that we aim to find a more fulfilling path. We're learning as we go. And so we'll be sharing some personal stories and offering support to you as well as you navigate these complexities of business growth, personal growth, just life in general. And we invite you to pop questions and comments in the events where you find the event part. You'll be able to pop some questions in there, and each of us will be certainly looking at them and doing our best to get back to you. So we're here to assist you on this journey to pleasant places. And want you just consider for a moment the role of self-love. It comes up in your relationships. It encourages healthy dynamics by enabling you to set and respect boundaries and foster empathy. So self-love really does play a crucial role in personal development and pushing you to learn continuously, take risks, and chase your dreams. So with that, I wanted to introduce you to these lovely ladies who are sharing the stage with me today. And I would love to ask Francesca to tell us where she's joining us from, a little bit about yourself and who you help and what you do. So thanks, Francesca, for joining us.
Thank you, Carol, for that very beautiful introduction. I'm joining today from Vancouver in British Columbia, Canada. And as a certified business coach, I help small business owners, particularly women-owned businesses, to cultivate a resilient and growth-oriented mindset that enables them to grow their business, achieve professional excellence, and balance in their personal and private lives. Thank you for having me on stage today.
Lovely to have you here. And as I promised, we have everybody joining from different parts of the world. So with that, over to Kiri. She can tell us where she's joining us from and who she helps and how she works with them.
Kia ora koutou. My name is Kiri McRae. I'm joining from New Zealand, Aotearoa, and my passion is supporting women working in male-dominated industries. So wonderful to be here today.
Oh, and I am excited to hear everybody's stories of self-love and some of these journeys. But before we move on to that, I would love for Tamra to tell us where she is joining us from and a little bit about what she has in her tools that she helps people with.
Thank you, Carol. I'm delighted to be here with everyone, and I'm joining from yet another continent. So I'm in London, in England. Some of you will pick up immediately that I'm not really English, I'm Canadian. But moving on, so what do? I'm a tiny habits coach and a positive intelligence coach. And I really enjoy helping people create positive new habits and helping them overcome their negative patterns of thought and behavior so that they can enjoy happier, healthier, and more fulfilling lives. And it's great to be here with you, Carol.
It is. We are all positive intelligence coaches, and that is how we met. And we've been journeying together. And this is the brainstorm child of everybody coming together and going, come on, let's try something new with our meetings and let's share some of the things and ideas that we have. So I am Carol Clegg, and I am coming to you from New Mexico. I love working with businesswomen, giving them the tools and the accountability to make progress on their weekly things that get in their way, the weekly things that they need to take care of for their business and not be overwhelmed. But without further ado, I would love to step into sharing stories, because we all love listening to stories. They can inspire us and motivate us, and we can just learn so much from that. So with that, each of these wonderful coaches that are here on stage with me today are going to just share a little story from their journey with self-love. And we come together. We have diverse backgrounds, we have cultural backgrounds, and we come to you from different parts of the globe. And then we each are coaching in a different niche, a different area. So I just hope that you're going to enjoy the journey with us today. So Kiri, I'd love for you to share the path that you've taken and this journey of self-love and nurturing it, and where it started and where it's brought you to today.
Thank you so much. So if I may share a photo from my childhood. So this is me as a 6-year-old. Now, when I look in the mirror now, there is a lot that I see that I don't enjoy so much. My grey hair, my wrinkles, the fact that my one eye is a little more closed than the other eye, my nose that I broke in hockey. But yet, if I look at my childhood photo, I can see some of that beauty of that childhood photo that is in me now. Those eyes, that cheeky smile. And so my journey has been around being able to look in the mirror and look at what I love about myself, not judge myself or compare myself with others. And I encourage you all to be able to look in the mirror and find that child within you that you love and you can love in yourself now, regardless of the greys, regardless of the wrinkles, regardless of your journey. Thank you so much for being here today.
What a wonderful, cheeky little smile on that photograph. I absolutely love it. Ladies, what do you say?
That was a beautiful, beautiful
Yeah,
story. And the childhood picture, beautiful.
so powerful and such a wonderful reminder that we recommend that you do a little research and perhaps look for a childhood picture of your own, of you. And you'll learn more as you journey with us through these conversations of how important that is to bring that childhood picture into your life and to have it close by as a beautiful reminder of your beautiful essence. So Kiri, thank you for being vulnerable and for sharing that with us. Francesca, I know that your journey has taken you from one continent to where you are now and explored self-love along the way with quite a few things that overwhelmed you during that journey. So would love for you to come and share what that has looked like for you.
Thank you so much, Carol. My journey may resonate with some of you on stage here with me and listening from elsewhere. My journey started in my early 20s, weaving my life around the kitchen, the crèche, the corporate world, soccer games, piano lessons, ballet dances, you name it. But first of all, I just want to express gratitude for this journey. It has been phenomenal. It has been life transforming. And for that, I am eternally grateful. But then I must acknowledge that the journey came with challenges as well. It could be sometimes daunting and, overwhelming. Imagine, a scenario where you have to constantly pull all the strings to be that loving mother, the good wife, the community champion, the business leader, the caring daughter, the dependable friend or sister, and everything to everyone else but yourself. Constantly, you are being pulled to pay attention to things that demand you to keep pouring out yourself to meet the needs. And the more you pour out yourself, the more you feel the need to pour out yourself. And you have poured out yourself so much so that your cup is almost empty. And you know you cannot pour out from an empty cup. Yet, that feeling of not being able to pour out from an empty cup is causing you grief, is causing you pain, is maybe even causing you self doubt, and you're beginning to feel that you're not enough. I'm sharing my story, but if this sounds like you, I just want to let you know that you're not alone, but you are enough. I am enough. I may not be all things to all men, I may not have everything together, but I am enough. And I'm going to take time for me so that I can be more than enough. And when I talk about taking time for me, what comes to mind is the oxygen mask analogy. You hear that in the plane all the time, that when you experience a loss of pressure in your cabin, you first of all have to put on your oxygen mask and breathe so that you can be able to help the people around you. And so, this is my invitation, maybe to myself and to the rest of you, to give yourself permission to wear your oxygen mask and breathe and be. That gives you the opportunity to nurture self-love, which to me is not selfish, but is the foundation of excellence in your personal and professional life. Thank you. Good luck to me. Good luck to you.
Oh, that is beautiful, Francesca. I think, Kiri, Tamra, you have to agree that, yeah, we need to absolutely take care of ourselves and fill our cup. And I think there are many people that could resonate with the fact of how depleted one can suddenly find oneself, and without having realized that everything's caught up with you and you're there. And I just wanted to say hi to Dominique, who's popped into our chat and said hello and welcome. We're so glad that you're here and listening to us, and would love your contributions. Of course, if you have action items, tips and tools that have worked for you in nurturing self-love, it is a critical component of our well-being, and the place that it's not just February and it's not just this event that we're talking to you. It's an area that we encourage you to continue learning and growing in. It doesn't have a closed door. So I would love to invite Tamra just to share her journey, what that's looked like, her ideas and concepts to help you be encouraged to look at the self-love from a different perspective. So Tamra, over to you.
Thank you very much. And I love both of your stories. Mine is a little bit different. It's going to be a story about an academic coming out of the self-help closet. So just to tell you a little bit about myself, about my career and my academic training, I have a PhD in philosophy. I've specialized in 20th century European philosophy, including existentialism, the problem of evil, post-Holocaust philosophy, and other similar cheerful topics. And during many of those years, I kept my self-help books hidden upstairs. And so when we had visitors in the house, they might see some philosophy books and some other books, but all the things about how to be happier, how to have a better life, I kept in the bedroom or in my private study. And actually now, if I were to pull the books off the shelves behind me, you would find a kind of random mix of philosophy and productivity and coaching skills and self-help. And I feel that I have begun to come out of the closet. So how did that happen? Well, partly in my professional life, I found myself more and more engaged with coaching other people, with mentoring, And I had the opportunity to take a couple of NLP, neuro-linguistic programming training courses, which I just really, really loved. And then something happened, and in my professional life as an educator, I was able to join a leadership development program for educational leaders. And that program was based almost entirely on NLP. And that sort of gave me permission where I felt I could, oh, finally, I can admit to other people that this is my passion. I love thinking about these things. I love being involved in that. So I came out of the closet a little bit on that, including actually taking a few days off work to go to a Tony Robbins seminar. I don't know if any of you are fans of Tony Robbins, but my colleagues were highly amused that that was important to me, but nevertheless I did it, and I was glad I did. Anyway, during COVID, I also took the opportunity to train first as a tiny habits coach, and then, like the rest of the women on stage here, as a positive intelligence coach. And I started offering online courses that combine positive psychology, tiny habits, positive intelligence, and just a little smidgen of philosophy. And when I run those courses, I often find that the teaching that I'm doing and the meetings with my group are really that one of the highlights of my week on a consistent basis. So I love doing that. In terms of the advertised topic of the evening, which is self-love, I've had a little bit of a journey with that as well. I think, like a lot of people, I have a very harsh and very loud inner critic. And, so over the years, using these various tools and techniques, I've been working on greater self-compassion and self-acceptance. And I found that the Positive Intelligence program really helps with that, partly because a big part of the program is recognizing that we all have what we call saboteurs, right? We all have these internal voices and patterns of behavior that get in the way of us fully realizing our potential and being able to lead our deepest, most fulfilled lives. But I think by having the idea of saboteurs, it certainly has given me more of an ability to look at ways in which I'm falling short, and instead of feeling this deep sense of shame, just accepting that I'm a flawed human being like everyone else on the planet. So I want to end with a mantra that helps me when I remember it, which is from one of my favorite ever television shows, The Good Place. Don't know if any of you have enjoyed that, but I just loved it. And it's, if you haven't checked it out, I think it's still on Netflix, and it's a painless way to learn a little bit of philosophy whilst being entertained at the same time. Anyway, the mantra that I picked up from an episode of The Good Place is "Pobody's Nerfect," which is a slightly confusing way of saying nobody's perfect. And when I remind myself of that mantra, two things happen. First of all, there's that acknowledgement, we're all human, we're all at least somewhat flawed. And secondly, that little bit of amusement and a reminder of that lovely television show just interrupts the pattern of negativity and harsh self-criticism. So I highly recommend that you make a note. Pobody's Nerfect. That can be our motto.
Well, let us all try and say that. I think it's quite a tongue twister. That is wonderful, Tamra, and I love that part about coming out of the closet, and it is such a journey. But look at us all here where we are, embracing that. And we have some questions that we're going to share. I see Dominique has popped in her ideas, which are boundaries, meditation, and making yourself, prioritizing yourself. All such important elements that can slip by the wayside if we don't actually put these into our calendar, make space for them. I love talking about white space on my calendar, where it's not necessarily designated to something specific, but the white space is for me. And that you can then allow yourself, on that day where you are, perhaps you make a short list of things that are self-nurturing, and you can pop that into that space. But to block our calendars back to back and not allow any time for self, it's an important area to consider. So I know we wanted to just sort of round robin a handful of questions. And, once again, I invite our listeners to pop questions into the comments on the event page here on LinkedIn. And of course, if you are listening to the replay, we hope that you'll connect with us here on LinkedIn. Francesca, Kiri, Tamra, and myself, Carol, we are all here to encourage you, inspire you, answer any questions that you might have. Our DMs are open. So, do take advantage of starting the conversation. And yes, Dominique, schedule joy in your day. We have, as the group of the four of us, certainly had a lot of joy, I find, and feel on this journey as we've got to know each other from, so you just never know what these things are that will bring joy into your life. And Tamra, love the fact that the Tony Robbins brought joy into your life at that stage, and that your colleagues were a little surprised that you'd chosen that. But wanting to just jump in with Kiri, perhaps, what is one thing that you now feel that you genuinely love about yourself, especially after embracing the childhood, the cheeky child? You're so cute. What is something that you might not always have acknowledged and that you now love about yourself?
Thank you so much, Carol. So as you could see in the childhood photo, that my hair is rather unmanageable. And it took me a lot of time to actually accept that my hair was never going to be straight. It was never going to be conforming, a bit like myself. But actually, to actually learn that this is who I am, this is my hair. If I can't choose what my hair looks like, but actually I can learn to love my hair for what it is. So I encourage everyone to look in the mirror and discover what they love about themselves and find the joy in that love of what you can see within yourself. Because loving within yourself exudes happiness to those around you, and it has a ripple effect. Please look in the mirror and see what you love.
What a beautiful reminder. I love your hair, Kiri. I have to tell you that. I think it looks absolutely gorgeous styled. But that is such a perfect reminder, because how often when we look in the mirror, the first thing we go to is what we don't like. So that beautiful reminder of focus in on what you like, because there is something beautiful about each of you. So remind yourself that when you look in the mirror. Francesca, I just wondered if we were talking about, there's some activities that you can do or hobbies and things like that, because sometimes it's a case of taking action. Anything you can share that, from a hobby point of view, or activities that just help bring a little amount of joy, as Dominique shared with us, schedule joy in your day. How would you schedule some joy in your day?
Yeah, I think activities might vary from individuals to individuals based on their preferences. And for me, two activities that stand out for me that brings me joy and relaxation are music and outdoors. I love to listen to music. And it's just not any music. I listen to gospel, 90% of the time. And it kind of makes me feel really fully grounded and happy. I also enjoy the great outdoors. I live in British Columbia. In fact, they call it beautiful British Columbia. It's beautiful outdoors here. So I love to go hiking. I love to go exploring all of the beautiful parks around. And it kind of brings me mental clarity and focus and direction. So those are the activities, and people can explore what works for them in terms of fulfillment and realization, whether it's reading a book, biking, working, whatever works for you, just explore it and make time for it and make a habit out of it and see what happens.
I definitely have to get to that part of the world someday. You're very fortunate, very lucky to be living in a gorgeous area. But getting outdoors can even just be wherever you are. Take a few minutes, getting that sunshine on your face or some fresh air, just to inspire oneself. And just appreciate, and gratitude. I guess gratitude, isn't that another one that, be grateful for what we have, is another area to, it can be so easy to be wanting more. I don't know, what thoughts are on that, Kiri? Gratitude.
Yeah, I think that's lovely, the gratitude of what we have, but the gratitude of who we are, our imperfect selves, as Tamra like shared, of Po Body's Nerfit. That's us. But actually we're still lovable and we can still love ourselves, which is the most important thing.
I couldn't agree with you more. Tamra, I know that we chatted about, just giving some advice, perhaps, if there's a friend who is struggling with something and being challenged, what sort of advice could one give to stop for a moment and learn to appreciate yourself even as you're struggling with something?
Yeah, thank you, Carol. I think that's a terrific question. And, one of the ideas I have is that I think it would be helpful. Well, first of all, if somebody came to me and told me that that was the issue that they were facing, that they were struggling with something, if it's somebody that I, excuse me, that I know reasonably well, I would remind them of some of the great qualities that I myself see in them. And I think especially I would try to remind them of a story, of an episode where they exhibited some of those qualities. But I would also recommend to them that they speak to that first of all, that they think about perhaps their best friend or somebody who's one of their biggest fans and ask them, what do you think that person sees in you? But I would also even encourage them to go further. And I think maybe on every continent, everybody's seen this show, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? And one of the lifelines that you have is to phone a friend. So what I would recommend to do is really be a little bit vulnerable and pick up the phone, contact one of your friends and tell them, I'm struggling, I'm feeling a little bit low on confidence or motivation. Can you help me? Can you remind me of something positive in myself? Because at the moment I'm stuck and I'm only seeing the negative. So I think, in general, actually, phone a friend is great advice. So I'm going to stop there. Thank you.
No, I agree with you that stepping out and asking for help, often we resist doing that, but it's so beautiful. Just even as we four have journeyed together, and know that we're here for each other and we encourage each other with chats behind the scenes. Just picking up that phone and just hearing somebody else's voice. And then I just love Tamra, just the reminder of, we all have lows, there's highs and lows, and we're all going to be up and down those mountains. And, to let somebody know that you're there for them, perhaps sometimes to remind them, perhaps sometimes that's on us to be checking in. Because often people can be a little shy. I don't know. Francesca, thoughts on that with making that phone call? Is it easy for you to pick up the phone and say, hey, I'm not feeling so great?
Based on my personality, it's not always easy. I am an introvert, and making that connection is always like an uphill task for me. So what I do most of the time, I just pray. It's so hard for me, not because I don't want to be vulnerable, but because I'm just so introverted that, pushing myself to make that connection, to say, hey, this is what I'm experiencing is usually, a difficult task for me. But I am navigating that, with positive intelligence, trying to achieve that mental shift that creates room for me to, connect with people without, thinking about what would that mean for my personality as an introvert.
Love that. Yeah, a good reminder that. So I know that we wanted to be trying to wrap up on the half hour. Our intention is for these sharing discussions to be about 30 minutes or so long. But before we leave you, I would love for everybody to just leave somebody with an action item to take away. So Kiri, what is your action item to just tell people, hey?
Every day when you go to clean your teeth, look in the mirror and look at what you love. And love it. Exude it.
That's beautiful.
Thank you so much for being here. And thank you so much for my beautiful peers for sharing today.
Yeah, it has been wonderful. I encourage you to give yourself a virtual hug. You know, that they talk about all the chemicals that get released when we physically hug somebody else and how important that is, but that can't always be the case. So give yourself a hug and give yourself a love. Francesca, what about you?
I think, I would encourage all of us, both here and watching, to just develop that attitude of being enough. Just find the habit of speaking to yourself very often that you are enough, no matter the situation and circumstances around you. You are enough, and you are beautiful, and you are talented. And love yourself. Just love yourself. And remember the oxygen mask. It's very useful.
There we go. And Tamra, love to hear how you would say, what would you love people to take action on?
Well, so first of all, I love all of these suggestions that we've just heard. And I would suggest asking yourself the same question every day. What's the smallest thing I can do today to look after myself?
Beautiful. Baby steps, consistency, and part of the tiny habit formation that ingrain that in yourself as you grow and take steps in that direction. So as I mentioned, you can connect with any of us here on LinkedIn. We would love to hear from you, start a conversation, get to know a little bit more about you. I mean, that's part of this whole world that we live in, is that to authentically get to know the other people that support us here. Let us know how we can support you. I had a little list that I wanted to leave you with that perhaps are some signals that it's time to bring this awareness to your self-love. And I think some of these things we have covered as we've been chatting here and sharing stories. But some signals might be constantly comparing yourself to others, thinking that you're responsible for other people's happiness, harshly judging yourself and others, that harsh inner critic judge tone that we've spoken about, micromanagement and not able to give up control, lacking a creative outlet. And I think Francesca shared that importance of getting outside, getting in nature, music, just so many different ways. Maybe that's painting, but just finding a creative outlet. So we will be back in March. We'll create the event here on LinkedIn so that you can join us. And our topic in March is marching forward, spring cleaning for your mind and your business. So perfect, as I know we've come from different sides of the globe. We're moving into different seasons, but there's always time to spring clean, right? Whether we be moving into autumn or spring. So with that, any last words, Tamra, that you'd love to leave our listeners with? We'll just go around and give everybody a chance.
Yeah, I think my final words are just that, these wonderful coaches are available to you, and connect with them, connect with us.
Kiri, how about you?
Take one step.
Absolutely. Francesca, any parting words?
Make space for what matters, and you matter.
You do. You do. So with that, I just want to say thanks again for everybody who has joined us. We do. We really appreciate you being here with us. And till next time, till next month. Bye-bye.
Bye.